Welcome, 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 Ragers, 5%ers, Patriots. Sometimes, in order to understand what's going on today, you have to understand what was going on yesterday. You have to take a look back in history. You have to take a look back in events in the last 20 years, the last 30 years, the last 40 years. Look back at really even the last century to see how we've all been set up and how many times we've all been set up. Now, I've talked about it on my channel. I've talked about how much I want to do an October 1st episode and talk about my experience when I was living here in Vegas when it happened. And tonight, I've been lucky enough to meet a couple of gentlemen who also lived in Vegas at the time of this event. What some people would say is a psyop, what other people say was just a tragedy. You know, a lot of us don't know, but I've been saying it for a long time, but it was so hard for me to ever find the receipts for this. But I'm telling you, people, what the published story is, what the conclusion is questionable based on what I experienced living here, based on what my two friends here experienced living here. But let me just preface it real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and start at the beginning. I very specifically remember this night because there was a show with Kira Sedgwick and her ugly freaking old lady face, Kevin Bacon loving ass. I really wanted to see this show. And because I wanted to see this show, I remember this show came on, I think, right exactly at 9:45 or about to come on at 10. I don't know what it was. But I remember the reason I remember that initial report so clearly was because I remember my ass was glued to the couch ready to watch this fucking show. No, now I remember the show came on at 10. At 10:14 p.m., that's when the first report from Sheriff Lombardo came on TV. And immediately, all I heard and saw was a line of sirens from my balcony. And I lived on the 7th floor of a high-rise, right over there by UNLV. So I could see everything. I've never seen a line of red and blue like that in my entire life. So nonetheless, I'm trying to watch this Kira Sedgwick show. The sheriff comes on, and the first thing that they said was that it was multiple shooters in multiple hotels, and they didn't know which one it was. So we didn't know if it was like anything on the Strip, anything on Fremont Street. There was no specifics to it. They said there was multiple shooters. They said one shooter was coming from New York. And one of the things that I did is that I tried to take an approximate distance. Maybe you can help me with this. I tried to take an approximate distance between the Country 91 Festival or whatever it was called and the tower at New York. Like, if we could find out what that distance is and figure out if there are high-powered rifles that can do that kind of damage from that distance, you know, that was one of the things I wanted to investigate. But tonight, I've been lucky enough to find these two Las Vegans who are here to share their experience on October 1st, 2017. The shit that happened right in the beginning. Not the story you were told, but the story that we knew because we were here. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I want to say is, like I told you, is I'm not like some survivor because I don't want to take anything from people that were actually at the concert that were being shot at. I was in between the Tropicana Hotel and the MGM Hotel, driving down Tropicana Boulevard, heading west, trying to cross the boulevard. So I was there the whole time. I wanted to say, I don't want to, I guess I was smart enough to turn on my police scanner app and listen to what I heard because we didn't know what was going on at the time. We saw people running out of the Tropicana Hotel yelling that there was some kind of, as they were saying at the time, terrorist attack, and then people running out of MGM saying that there was a terrorist attack, and they kind of met on Tropicana Boulevard and Las Vegas Boulevard, and there was mass confusion. But I was in a car driving down, so that's what I saw. But from the police scanner, when we turn that on, is where the confusion really kind of lies and comes from, is what we heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you wanna play your video so they'll just be able to hear the audio of it? But I just want to authenticate.
What I can
I
also
want to
do,
authenticate that this is a video that he took. It looks legit. It looks real to me.
I'll go back and I'll even show you. It's from that exact date that we made it. I'm an idiot in my back. But it's really from that date. I wish we actually had more. What sucks is we kind of cut it down for Twitter, and with how fast these phones, we get new phones. The phone that I actually took it on, but so this is listening to the police scanner.
Control 656, I'm still on CCAS channel 2, travel 458 to There's one that came in at 23:06 hours, second in, and was there a shooter in the front desk of New York, New York.
What'd I tell you?
That is the police scanner, which you can no longer find for LVMPD.
Sorry, I gotta turn it off my phone because it's been like 10 minutes.
See, I wish we had that whole 10 minutes. The guy who was with me on that day, he likes to save a lot of things. He might. But pretty much right there you could hear, and that's proof. If you go on my Twitter, you can go on @MaxNoel and scroll down, you'll find that tweet. I mean, that's proof that was posted that exact same day. I mean, just as all this was unfolding. So, but that was not the only hotel, and, you know, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, whatever you want, but that was not the only hotel. We heard in the back of Luxor they were looking for a certain type of car before that. That wasn't the only hotel that they said that there was a shooter in. So if this guy was doing this all by himself, how was he able to be this precise as a shooter and have a phone in between his ear and his shoulder? It makes no physical sense, if you ask me. So what I couldn't figure out on that day is, one, on that day, they never clarified a single shooter, which I believe to this day, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. We've been told it's a single shooter, correct?
Right.
How could a single shooter be doing all that? From the police scanner, I do want to say that they did not clarify at that time that it was a single shooter. And the proof
Not
is,
in the beginning, no.
No, they didn't know what was going on. But if they somehow say it's a single shooter now, how could he have done all this singly? How could it not be more than one person? And there's evidence right there. If they were so confused by this situation that was going on, why would they even be talking about New York, New York? That would make, actually, from which way the bullets were coming from now, when you look at the science, would make no sense that it was coming from New York, New York. But how I can say they could be confused, if there was more than one person at the time that this was going on, telling them, misleading them. I'm not saying the Las Vegas Police Department is bad, or I think maybe they may have been misled, or they're buying into the same, rhetoric that a lot of people are, that after the fact is done, oh, it's easy to say it's one single shooter. Maybe we can sell them on that.
Let me
Maybe
ask you-
they've been sold on that. But there's no way that one criminal is good enough to do what he did as the biggest single shooting in American history, to where he could mislead authorities by himself while creating or doing, actively, not just doing, but making it happen, where he could have literally done this himself single-handedly is absurd to believe. And I believe somewhat in that video there's a little bit of proof there that this police department believed that maybe there could have been a shooter there. And they did believe that, is what it sounds like to me. And what I can say is not one man could single-handedly do that himself.
Have you heard the theory that for high rollers in casinos that there's a separate police unit that needs to be dispatched for high rollers?
There's
And
not.
is that not true?
I've worked in casinos for 18 years.
It's not true? Okay.
Okay,
well, that's
I've
good.
also worked in casinos. The one thing I want to say is, from working in casinos, I could say where people say, how could he have gotten all the equipment up into a room, a suite like that? Let me tell you, someone who's worked in casinos, I could get that amount of equipment into any hotel room. And that is not what I am denying or disputing. What I'm disputing is how he was able to be that precise of a marksman, as well as calling the authorities at the same time and alerting different security departments in hotels. Because what that video proves, and no one can dispute from that video, is that he called the Luxor. But you probably shouldn't take my word for it. But what I am saying is he called, if I had the whole video still, he called the Luxor, he called Caesar's Palace, he also called the Tropicana, the Excalibur. Every one of these casinos were in panic because of a call that you heard, similar to the New York that is proven.
Let me ask you another question. Do you think that because of the amount of law enforcement that was coming from other areas, like Henderson Police Department was coming, do you think that made it worse because it basically gridlocked the entire fucking area? People couldn't get in or out, so people who needed emergency vehicles couldn't get in. People couldn't get out. People were trying, help each other by taking people in their cars
what I can
to
tell
the
you,
hospitals,
there was some real heroes that day. Some people, unlike me, I was driving a Toyota Yaris. There's not much I could have done, but there was a couple people I saw actually that were breaking street laws at the time, that were helping people. This one guy in the truck, I wish I could identify him because he actually did some good. He might have already, been identified earlier, but there was this guy in the truck that was literally driving through, parking lots, doing what he could to actually help. And there was gridlock, for real gridlock. I was stuck in between Las Vegas Boulevard and Koval on Tropicana, I want to say for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then when we finally got out of that gridlock, we were trying to go north on the 15, and no, we couldn't go there. And then Valley View was shut down. So we literally had to drive a circle for about an hour until streets opened. There was nowhere we could go. There was serious gridlock that we were literally stuck in like a little less than a mile square foot radius, to where we couldn't, every street around us was closed down. So I can't imagine what the authorities trying to respond to that were. It was definitely something that needed to, I guarantee, be handled better. And I'm still to this day wondering why we were lied to about it. It doesn't even seem like something that we should be lied to about.
Do you think that there was any motivation to use this to boost the economy in Las Vegas?
I see. That I don't know, because how could that boost the economy? How could a mass shooting boost the economy? I mean, unless that's deeper than my pay grade.
Because Vegas Strong raised so much fucking money, okay? Because freaking Golden Knights went to the Stanley Cup Finals that very year, because it made more people spend more money here to make up for the losses. You know what I mean? We were never shut down after October 1st. I mean, there were a lot of airlines providing free flights to family members who needed to come find their family members who had been injured or possibly deceased because of it.
Well, wouldn't you put it that way? I would definitely say the Golden Knights season, it's definitely something I don't want to take away from, but I definitely have questions about it.
I have questions about the legitimacy of their...
It was very convenient.
Very convenient.
I will say that. It was very convenient that they were the best hockey team, but they didn't win the fucking... I'm sorry if I don't know if I...
Oh, yeah, you can cuss on this.
Oh, okay. But...
I'm Red Pill Rage. You ain't heard about me?
Hey. Just for my sake, sometimes I don't like the cuss, because I think it makes you feel, or makes me seem not as intelligent as I could sound. But I think the Golden Knights definitely sold a lot of hoodies, a lot of shirts, a lot of championship shirts.
Do you guys have another ashtray?
I do.
Okay. Tired of reaching. Sorry.
We can cut that out. So look, then after when he comes, get his opinion. My friend that I was with.
Yeah, you should be yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shit, tell him recorded separately, and the kid was actually with me.
We can do
like,
part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, and be like, yo, so we actually recorded that. We were separate. What are your... And watch him have the same exact opinions. You know what I mean? Because it was very sketchy. I wish I had the whole video when I was recording it, but no one watches a 10-minute Twitter video. That's why, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you can't upload more than, I think, 1:30 or 2 minutes or whatever. But thank you for sharing all of this. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for, sharing that with me, because I couldn't find it when I wanted to talk to my audience about it. I couldn't freaking
So,
find
audience,
it.
all I want to say is, if you go to my Twitter, which I used to have before I posted this video, I used to have, I think, like 2,700 Twitter followers. Since I posted this video and really talked about who I really am, I'm down to 900 followers. So, there's an example of censorship right there. And this is nothing actually new that just started with Donald Trump or anything. I've been being censored since 2017 because I posted on Twitter literally just listening to what we're, as Americans, supposed to be able to listen to, and that is a police scanner. The police have the right to do it, as well do we as the citizens. So that's real censorship that's been happening since 2017. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much one more time. And Ragers, don't forget to visit the Patreon, American 5%. Don't forget to visit my website, www.redpillrage.net. Check me out on Twitter while I still have my profile. It may not be
Right.
very long. Don't forget to catch up with me on TikTok. My TikTok's blowing up, doing really well on TikTok. News Clapper, Parlor. Whenever we get that back, I'm on Gab now. Haven't even filled out a profile, but I am there. All right, thank you.